What's up, guys? Winter Kills here, and welcome to a brand new test hand video for Burning Abyss. A lot of you guys seem to really like my take on this deck in the last profile I did, which, by the way, if you haven't seen that profile, you can go watch the deck profile so I can explain some of the choices in depth. But I'm gonna go ahead and put a picture up on the screen of what the deck list looks like currently, because I have made a few slight changes. Drop the Allure of Darkness because I decided, as nice as draw power is, I really don't want to increase my chances of drawing into Mermere, because the Destrudo engine is very important for the deck's main operations. And I've decided to add in the quick launches for the Rocket engine because it is pretty good right now as it stands to be able to special summon out a level 3 extender. Same concept with E-Telly, and the quick launch package will be a little bit better once we get the Revolver Structure deck, allowing us to play the level 4 Rocket Tuner, which will allow us easier access into a level 7 Synchro with any level 3. Even if it's a BA, especially under Cherubini, we'll still have very easy access to Yazi and Mermere without having to heavily rely on either drawing the Destrudo or milling it or opening Foolish to send it to the graveyard. So that's sort of my idea and theory behind those choices and changes that I've made. Also added in a Monster Reborn. But yeah, and also I've added in a second Cherubini into the extra deck. Oops, I'm dropping cards. And I have a Bamboozling Gossip Shadow in the extra deck as well instead of the second Dante. So if I go into a Dante or two Dantes, one of them is going to be proxied basically as the Gossip Shadow, because it can be an extra negate or interruption to go into. That is a rank 3 monster. So I just wanted to go ahead and point that out. Also, quick reminder to check out Imperium Duelist if you guys are interested in picking up any awesome sleeves or playmats or dice or anything, card game related. They got plenty of awesome things on their website. If you want to check it out, feel free to at the link down in the description below, and you can use that discount code WinterKills10 off to save 10% off your entire order. So without further ado, I'm gonna go ahead and shuffle the deck here, and we're gonna see what we can draw into. I've been doing a couple test hands prior to this, and it's been pretty promising in what kind of fields I've been able to pull off. And hopefully that trend continues, and the curse of the camera hopefully doesn't strike again, as it sometimes does. So let's go ahead and shuffle here. Not going to do a pile shuffle right off the bat. We're just going to start with a regular good old shuffle, and let's see what we draw into. I'm going to do some of these hands as going second, because that's primarily how I want this deck to play, is a going second deck. So we will draw our 6th card, and it's just another BA monster, so that's not too big of a deal. Now, necessarily going second doesn't mean a direct OTK. It just allows us use of Yazi is what it allows us. So if we do have access to Yazi, going second, of course, is going to be more optimal, because you can actually resolve Yazi's effect. Although Destrudo is not completely dead turn 1, because we can make cards like F.A. Dawn Dragster using that level 7 synchro access. And you see, if we open the quick launch here, if we had that level 4 Rocket Tuner, we'd be able to make some really cool plays with Yazi without having to worrying about opening the Destrudo, since we did not open it here. But we're just going to go ahead and play this out sort of normally here. We'll start by, let's see, we'll start by normal summoning the Libic, because we can get another level 3 out of our hand without having to worry about it being destroyed by card effects. And we'll special summon the Farfa here. We'll go ahead and link these two into a copy of Cherubini. Yeah, I figured I decided to add back in a second Cherubini, because this card does come up later in turns, just because it's such a good card to be able to just have access to at all times. So now we'll use Libic here to special summon this here. It actually doesn't matter where it goes, because its effects are negated because of Libic. But now we'll use Cherubini's effect to send any level 3 from our deck to the graveyard. And I might choose Edge Sabers here. I might choose Graph or Rhino Warrior to be able to revive a card or summon out Seer to be able to revive other cards. Alright, so we're going to go ahead and use Cherubini's effect here. We're going to send Fiendish Rhino Warrior to the graveyard. We could send Edge Sabers or Sea Archiver, but right now I don't think that's the best decision. We're going to send Graph, and then we'll go ahead and special summon the Seer. I can find it. There it is. Special summon Seer. Put it right there. We could summon the Psychic Wielder. We could use Quick Launch here to get another level 3 out of our deck. But like I said, if we had that level 4 Tuner Rocket Monster out in the TCG yet, we'd have a really awesome play on our hands. But unfortunately, we do not have access to that card yet here in the TCG. So what I'm going to do here is overlay and see if we can't mill into a Destrudo. We're going to overlay into Dan the Traveler. We're going to detach Seer, and we're going to mill 3, starting with Destrudo. Okay, perfect. World Legacy Succession and Edgem Sabers. So we milled Succession. That's unfortunate, but it's not too big of a deal. So now we can use Seer's effect to be able to revive Farfa. It really doesn't make too big of a difference here. And now we'll link these two away for a copy of Decode Talker, because remember, we cannot use Yazi underneath the Cherubini because it will protect itself from destruction. So now we're going to use Quick Launch here, and we're going to go summon out this level 3 rocket, Auto Rocket Dragon from our deck, just because it's a... I'm sure there are other level 3 rockets that you can play. This is the one that I happen to have, and why I'm choosing to play it is just because it's level 3 dark, has some synergy. Now we'll go ahead and use Yazi here. Or not Yazi, Destrudo to target this, pay half-life. This will go back to the bottom of our deck. We'll link this away, and then we'll go ahead and synchro into a copy of Yazi. Put that right there. Put the deck up here so we have room. Then we'll use Yazi's effect. We'll just target a card in the field, destroy it, and then activate Yazi's effect over here to be able to summon a copy of or any worm monster from our deck, really. And we'll go ahead and summon a copy of Mermare. Now, this is where we're going to need some token action. And how we summon the tokens will actually be pretty crucial. Also, one thing I want to note is that when we had that rocket, that level 3 rocket on our field, we should have summoned the Psychic Tracker, because that would be the last time I think we'd be able to have the chance to get that on the field at the right time. So I just want to go ahead and point that out. So first we'll use Mermare here to summon 2 tokens and drop him down to a level 5. So he's now level 5, and what we'll do from here is use the effect, or not the effect, but link this away into a Link Karibo. And put, or not Link Karibo, Link Spider rather. You could play Link Karibo if you wanted to. Then we'll link the Decode Talker and the Link Spider into a copy of Avermax. So this card is going to be really hard for our opponent to deal with. And then we'll use Mermare's effect again, drop him down to level 4 to summon another token. And then we'll link, or synchro these rather, into a copy of Ib the World Chalice Justiciar. Now we don't have an effect to search basically, because we milled the World Legacy Succession, which is not the biggest issue because we have this level 3 on board. So we won't use that effect here, and we'll just go ahead and synchro these two into a copy of Borreload Savage Dragon. And then we'll use Savage Dragon's effect to equip the Decode Talker. That'll give him 3 counters and boost him up by 1250 attack, or 1150 attack. Half of Decode's current attack. Where is the level 3 on there? There it is. So he's up by quite a bit of attack. We have Avermax on our board. We also get to summon off of that Ib. So we can summon the level 3 out of our deck. We can put him in attack position at 1600. It's not a lot of damage, but it is some damage, I guess, at the end of the day. We still have this extra token over here, and this is something that I've been sort of contemplating as I've been doing test hands the past couple of days, is sometimes you are left over with a random token and this, and I've been trying to think, what other cards could I use with those, and I still really haven't found out what that card is going to be yet. We could make a Link 3 right here, but I'm not really sure what Link 3 it would be, because I'd rather just make Beatrice with this extra BA that we still have in hand, which I'll probably do now as we discard that to the graveyard, and be able to summon a Beatrice Lady of the Eternal at 2500. We also have a Scarm effect in the end phase, so if we don't kill them this turn, we have a live Edgem Sabers as well, so there's that to take into account. But we do get to use Scarm effect in the end phase, so we can grab none other than Tour Guide from the Underworld. So we have Mekk-Knight Crusadia Avermax, which is such a potent card. A lot of the duels that I've been playing with this deck, or actually, no, my bad. We do not have a Scarm end phase because we have the Scarm underneath the Beatrice. That's my bad. I thought we milled that to the grave already, but it's fine. Even with no Scarm end phase, this is still a really strong board. We have a Scarm underneath here to detach if we want to. And I believe we should still have a Farfa left in deck. I think we opened 1 or 2 copies of those. So yeah, we still have a Farfa left in deck. We also have an Alec, I believe. Yeah, we also have an Alec. So we have a negation here, an interruption here, and a card that's going to just be really difficult for our opponent to out into that first turn there, at least going second. So that'll be it for that test hand. I was hopefully able to show you guys the basic steps of the combo that you can basically do anytime you get access to Destrudo. Even if not, you know, in the future, the reliance for Destrudo will be taken off because of quick launch. And I think when that level 4 tuner comes out, Rocket Tracer, I believe is the name. I'll put a picture up on the screen if I remember. I'll still probably play one level 3 rocket monster, just because of the synergy with, sometimes you might already have Destrudo and quick launch in hand and you don't want to summon the level 4 tuner. You can just summon out the level 3 instead, just to have different options. So that's just sort of food for thought. I'm going to pile shuffle real quick and we'll go ahead and do the next hand. Alright, so I've all pile shuffled here. Let's cut the deck and draw into our opening hand. We have Mathematician, Seer, Mare, Instant Fusion, Crusadia Reclusia, and for our 6th card, we have a copy of Alex. So we drew Mare, that looks pretty grim, but we drew Mathematician. And the interesting with this deck, when we play Edgem Sabers, it allows us to basically put back any of our engine requirements back into the deck at the cost of getting a free level 3 monster on the board. So that's really, really key. Now, we'll start this hand by summoning the Mathematician and sending the the Edgem Sabers to the graveyard. Now this hand, as it stands, is pretty fragile. We do have Instant Fusion, but it is pretty fragile. So if our Mathematician does get stopped, we really don't have too much of a play, which can be kind of an issue. To be fair, we could have started this play a bit differently by perhaps normaling Seer and special summoning Alec, and then making Cherubini, special summoning the Alec out, and then using Cherubini to send Edgem Saber, so we can sort of play around hand traps that way. But I'm just sort of doing it the simple way by just starting with Mathematician. So there are other options with this hand other than what I'm doing, and still giving us access to the Edgem Sabers. But we'll start with Edgem Sabers, putting back Mare to the top of our deck, so we're putting that back in. And now we'll go ahead and link into Cherubini. And now from here, literally, if we had no other cards in our hand and we just had Instant Fusion, we could Instant Fusion out for Shaddoll Winda, just like this, and Cherubini would protect Winda until the end phase. If we had no other power plays to make, Cherubini would protect Winda, end phase it would not be destroyed, and our opponent would have to worry about dealing with this card. We could send Skarm or whatever, and just sort of go from there and add Tour Guide for next turn, and sort of play it as a stun turn or stun build for this given turn. But we're going to play it out a bit differently though. And this is also why I've thought about playing Sea Monster of Theseus, because sometimes you don't want to summon Winda, and sometimes having the access to summon a level 5 tuner from deck can be pretty cool to go into level 8 synchros and things like that. But I haven't really made that decision yet. So we'll start with Cherubini effect here, and we'll use Cherubini to send Rhino Warrior, to send a Graph, and then Graph is going to special summon Skarm. This is usually the go-to summon. I was trying hands where I would be summoning Seer off the Graph, but when I would link away the Cherubini and the Seer for Decode Talker, I would just never want to use the Seer effect, because the BA monster that I bring back would be pretty much useless. Can't use it for Avramax because it was special summoned from the grave, I believe. And Avramax can only be special summon monsters that were, I believe, originally, or have been special summoned from the extra deck and are on the field still. I believe that's how that ruling works. I might be wrong, and if I am, that's actually good that I'm wrong, because that makes making Avramax a bit easier. But from here, we'll special summon Reclusia, and if our opponent had a card on their field to pop, we could activate Reclusia right now, since we're going second, to use this effect to target himself and a card on our opponent's side of the field. Cherubini protects us from being destroyed, so we get a free pop there. So they're already down one card. And from here, we'll go into a copy of Dan the Traveler. That's right, you guessed it. Dan the Traveler's coming out. He's going to detach the Skarm, and we're going to mill 3 off the top. Monster Reborn, Fiendish Rhino Warrior, and Psychic Tracker. Not too bad. We have a Skarm in the end phase. And so they're already down a card. And what we could do here is special summon both of these, make Bamboozling Gossip Shadow if we wanted to. Or we could possibly make a Boral Sword with these by special summoning both of these. But I don't think that's the best idea. I think at this point, with our Cherubini being boosted up by the attack of Rhino Warrior, which is 14, so he's at 1900, So he does have some decent stats. So we could swing in with what we have here, and then use instant fusion. Or actually, no, we won't use instant fusion first. But what we will do is send the Alec to be able to get into Beatrice, as we're probably not going to be able to OTK this turn. And then we'll use instant fusion here to be able to summon Winda. And then we'll have an end phase search of the tour guide, because we do have Skarm in the graveyard. So that is what our end hand looks like. We have Winda on board with Beatrice, so we do have protection. And our opponent is locked into only one special summon that turn. Whatever they decide to bring out, we can quickly use Beatrice's effect to send that card to the graveyard, or banish it till the end of the turn with Farfa. And we have a pretty solid board as is. Not as flashy as the last one, but a pretty solid board nonetheless, because we do have Winda, we do have Beatrice, and we do have some cards to follow up next turn, drawing another instant fusion per turn. Not too big of a deal. Like I said, that's kind of why I want to play one more instant fusion target, but the extra deck space as is really tight, so I don't know if I'll be able to squeeze it in there right now anyways. So I'm going to go ahead and shuffle one more time, and we'll go ahead and do another test hand. I'm going to pile shuffle real quick. Alright, so the deck has been shuffled. I'm going to shuffle just a bit more, so you guys know there's no trickery going on. And let's go ahead and cut the deck and see what we draw into. Mathematician, Fiendish Rhino Warrior, Monster Reborn, Libic, and a copy of Instant Fusion. So we've done two going second hands. I think we can mix it up now and do a going first hand. Let's see what our 6th card would have been. It would have been Farfa, so that doesn't change the play too much. I think I'm going to get started here by summoning Mathematician, and I want to check Libic's text, because I use Libic sometimes, but let's see, this card's going to be special with level 3 Dark Fiend, so he just has to summon a Dark Fiend. I just wanted to triple check that, if you will. But we're going to send the Edgem Sabers, because Mathman and Sabers go very well together, it being that it is a 1-card Cherubini. Obviously, just having any card in your hand to stack on top of your deck. Now, since we don't need Rhino Warrior, we can put Rhino Warrior back on the top very easily, because we can just send that with the Cherubini that we're going to make right now. And let's see, where's that Cherubini? Put that right there. Activate Cherubini's effect now to send the Rhino Warrior, to send Graph, and we could send Seer here, or we could send Skarm, because we don't really need the Seer effect. Let's see. You know what? And also, one thing I want to point out is, if we were playing Sea Monster of Theseus, what we could do, and this is just sort of an idea, it's not the play we're actually going to go with, but we could summon this, then use either Monster Reborn or Libic just to special summon it to the field here. Make Dante Mill 3, Seer effect, bring something back, and then use Cherubini and the monster we summoned off of Seer to make Decode Talker. And then we'd have to use the Monster Reborn at that point, actually. So we'd want to use Libic first. Use Monster Reborn, bring back either Mathematician or Edgem Sabers or Rhino Warrior. And then synchro with the Instant Fusion for Sea Monster Theseus, and then the level 3 for Borload Savage Dragon. And we'd have Borload Savage Dragon with Dante and Decode Talker. It's not the best field, but that is an idea, something that we could do if we were playing Sea Monster of Theseus. But right now, let's go ahead and use Monster Reborn here to bring back the Edgem Sabers. I mean, it really doesn't matter what we bring back here. Let's just bring back the Fiendish Rhino Warrior, and then we'll overlay these two into Dante, since we are going first. I mean, to be honest, here we could make Bamboozling Gossip Shadow instead, and then use Instant Fusion to bring out Winda, and have Winda protect the Cherubini, and we also have a negation of a monster effect as well. So that is something we could also do. Yeah, that is something we could definitely do. And I guess at that point, we could just use the Libic to summon out to make it that way, because I'm trying to keep this BA in hand so we can make Dante if we need to. But let's make Dante anyways. Actual Dante here, not Gossip Shadow. Let's mill 3, and we mill Quick Launch Farfa and the Rhino Warrior. Not the greatest mills there, but it could be worse, I suppose. And then from here we could make a Gossip Shadow technically. We still have the extenders to do so. We could use the Seer here, but we don't really need to. So I'm actually not going to detach the Seer. I'm just going to attach the Rhino Warrior, leave the Seer underneath the Dante. I think that just makes more sense. Then we'll use the Libic to discard to summon the Beatrice, just like that. And then we'll use Instant Fusion here, lastly, to go for Winda, to sort of provide that stun effect for our opponent to deal with next turn. And that's what our field looks like here. Going first, we have Monster Reborn in hand. We have a Winda. We have a Beatrice. Winda cannot be destroyed by card effects, period. Normally can only be not be destroyed by opponent's card effects, but Cherubini is making it so it cannot be destroyed by card effects, period. And we, of course, have that interruption from Beat Rice herself. So shuffle the deck up one more time real quick, and we'll go ahead and get into another test hand. Deck has been shuffled. Let's go ahead and cut the deck and see what we draw into. Starting with Graph, Psychic Tracker, Phoenix Rhino Warrior, Seer, and Edgem Sabers. I don't know what it is with me. I literally always seem to draw these cards, and if they weren't at one apiece, it wouldn't be so bad, but since they're at one apiece, it really hurts. I don't know, like, I literally, like, on stream, it happens all the time. I just always draw Seer and Graph. I don't know. It's just the one-ofs. I have a one-of curse, I guess. So, with this hand, we could play this out as a going first hand again, but let's see what our 6-card technically would have been. Be Mathematician. So that's actually not too bad. Let's actually play this hand as a going second. Going first, we can pretty much end with just a simple Beatrice play, and I guess it really depends on what we mill. If we end up milling, if we don't take into account this, if we end up milling a Destrudo, we can end on Cherubini, Beatrice, and F.A. Dawn Dragster, which isn't terrible, and maybe a Skarm and Phase Search as well. But actually, you know what? Let's play this as a going second hand. Or a going first hand. We did 2 going second. Let's do another going first to match with the last one we did. So let's start by normal summoning Edgem Sabers and special summoning Psychic Tracker. Yeah, let's do that. I like that better because we can use Edgem Sabers to put back the Graph back into our deck to be able to use later on. Let's use Edgem Sabers now to put this here to stack the Graph back in, and then we can use Cherubini's effect to send. Let's not put that there actually because we need these zones open for our BA monsters. Use Cherubini to send the Rhino Warrior, to send the Graph, which is on the top, to be able to summon a copy of Skarm. Just like that. And let's go ahead and make a Dante and see what we can mill into. Shuffle the deck a bit there. Let's go ahead and make Dante number uno. So like I said, my build currently online has 1 Dante and 1 Bamboozling Shadow, number 75 in it. So I think that's probably how I'll play it out going forward, is just having those. We mill 3 spells off the top. That's not the greatest. That's unfortunate. So at this point, we'd probably just pitch this to make Beatrice. We could summon out the Graph. Why not? Off the Seer. We'll use the Seer effect. Might as well just use it and not waste it, I suppose. And make that there. And we have an end phase Skarm search, actually, this time, of a copy of the Tour Guide. Where is it? There it is, Tour Guide. So this one did not end the greatest, but you can see if we were to have milled a Destrudo and not 3 spells, right here we'd be able to summon Destrudo and Synchro for that level 7 of the F.A. Dawn Dragster, put that there. So we'd end with Beatrice Dawn Dragster. We just did not have the most optimal mills there. So let's go ahead and shuffle this hand up real quick and go ahead and do another test hand. Alright, so I pile shuffled real fast. Let's go ahead and cut the deck. And we'll do a going second test hand here for the 5th and final one. Drawing to Psychic Weed Dealer, Monsterborn, Mathematician, and copy of Crusadia Reclusia. And our 6th and final card is Edgem Sabers. This is probably one of the best hands we've opened, I think, the entire video. So let's go ahead and start with Mathematician, and we'll send a copy of the Not Edgem Sabers because we open it, but we're going to send a copy of Libic and use Libic's effect here to special summon the Edgem Sabers, which is nice because we can use Saber's effect later on since we did not have to exhaust it right off the bat. Now we'll use Cherubini's effect here to send Rhino Warrior, to send Graph to summon the Skarm. Now here, if we wanted to, another thing we could do is also send Sea Archiver to be able to sort of have a reoccurring level 3 monster in our graveyard if we wanted to. And look, Graph and Skarm together right there perfectly, saving me some time. So the only thing we really need with this hand is a card called Destrudo. That's really all we need. That would have made this hand a lot better actually, but Crusader Reclusia comes down. We can use its effect to pop a card on their side of the field while saving Reclusia from destruction. Then we can make Dante. We'll put Dante in attack position since we are going second. And mill 3 off the top. Mare, the Alec, and the Quick Launch. So we milled Mare, unlucky. But we'll use the Alec effect here to negate something on their field if they have something for us to negate, and they better hope they do. So we did that. We did all of that. We still have an Edgem Sabers that we can use here to be able to bring back out. Opening the Psychic Wielder would have been really clutch if we would have had the Destrudo, because if we had Destrudo right now, we could summon it by putting the Mathematician back to the top of our deck and summoning, or not putting it back to the top of our deck, but we'd summon the Sabers by putting the Mathematician back to the top and then using Destrudo to target the Edgem Sabers, and then summon the Psychic Wielder or use Monster Reborn to make Cherubini, or take Cherubini and whatever we bring back off Monster Reborn for Deco Togger, then going into Yazi, and then it's proceeding onto the combo from there. But as it stands, we still have a play. We don't really have a Beatrice play to follow up with, rather, but that won't make too big of a difference, at least not that I think. Let's use Edgem Sabers here to summon itself and putting back the Mathematician to the top of the deck, because we don't really need that. And we can go ahead and use Monster Reborn here if we wanted to for any level 3 extender. We can't bring back Mare, which is kind of unfortunate. We could summon this to be able to make either Bryonic, Trish if we wanted to. Technically, we could make Trish here if we were playing it, and we just summon another level 3 off of the Monster Reborn. Or we could make the Gossip Shadow right here, which we would just summon there, and then I'll just take the second Dante, sort of use it as a proxy, input it that in defense position, because I believe it only has like 1,000 attack and like 2,600 defense. So we would swing in with whatever damage we can, put that to defense. We can't make the Dante, unfortunately. We would get an end-phase Skarm search, or we can't make the Beatrice, that is. We end-phase Skarm for this. And we're going into our turn with a minimum of at least one negate. We can turn sort of anything, any monster effect, I believe, into a draw by detaching 2. So let's say we negate something, we draw an extra card. We draw a Foolish Burial, which is pretty good, actually. And then if they kill anything else, we get to add back off Dante, and when drawing turn, the Psychic Tracker. So we still have 4 cards in our hand, theoretically, if we do survive the next turn, and these are some really strong cards to have. We did mill the Mare, which is unlucky, but we sort of had to try to mill Mare, or mill off the top anyways, so we could get into Destrudo if need be. So I thought that was going to be a much better hand than it actually turned out being. But it's just, that's why I think the reliance on Destrudo is probably the only weakness of this deck at the moment. Other than that, it still can make really good plays. Also, one thing to note, instead of making Gossip Shadow there, we could have just made Boral Sword with the Cherubini and the 2 level 3s for Boral Sword, because we do play Sword, and we could have just technically tried to go for a game there if our opponent had a really weak board. So that's one thing I want to point out. But later on, I think in the format, when we get that Revolver Structure deck, this card will be able to summon out the Rocket Tracer, which will be able to allow us to access Yazi or just get us into any level 7 Synchro if we need to. And I think that's why this card is going to be really good in here moving forward. Same thing with the Crusadia stuff, something I wanted to try here, and it's been working out very well because this card has such a good interaction with Cherubini. It just protects it from destruction, period, and you just get to pop a card for free. But yeah, that's going to be it for this test hand video. I hope you guys enjoyed 5 test hands there of the BA deck. Pretty much going through a variation of like a lot of different combos in this video, so it actually turned out pretty well overall. And yeah, so that's it for this video. I hope you guys enjoyed. If you did, be sure to leave a like. Let me know what you think down in the description below. If you have any ideas, criticisms, etc., etc. And yeah, thank you guys so much for watching. As always, when it goes send out, we'll see you in the next one.